People demand freedom of speech as a compensation for the freedom of thought which they seldom use. The function of prayer is not to influence God, but rather to change the nature of the one who prays. Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. People understand me so poorly that they don't even understand my complaint about them not understanding me. There are two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what isn't true, the other is to refuse to believe what is true. The most common form of despair is not being who you are. It is perfectly true, as philosophers say, that life must be understood backwards. But they forget the other proposition, that it must be lived forwards. The greatest hazard of all, losing one's self, can occur very quietly in the world, as if it were nothing at all. No other loss can occur so quietly. Any other loss, an arm, a leg, $5, a wife, etc., is sure to be noticed. What labels me, negates me. The most painful state of being is remembering the future, particularly the one you'll never have. Love is the expression of the one who loves, not of the one who is loved. Those who think they can love only the people they prefer do not love at all. Love discovers truths about individuals that others cannot see. What if everything in the world were a misunderstanding? What if laughter were really tears? To dare is to lose one's footing momentarily. Not to dare is to lose oneself. Once you label me, you negate me. The tyrant dies and his rule is over, the martyr dies and his rule begins. To venture causes anxiety, but not to venture is to lose one's self. And to venture in the highest is precisely to be conscious of one's self. Face the facts of being what you are, for that is what changes what you are. God creates out of nothing. Wonderful, you say. Yes, to be sure, but he does what is still more wonderful, he makes saints out of sinners. To cheat oneself out of love is the most terrible deception. It is an eternal loss for which there is no reparation, either in time or in eternity. If anyone on the verge of action should judge himself according to the outcome, he would never begin. The proud person always wants to do the right thing, the great thing. But because he wants to do it in his own strength, he is fighting not with man, but with God. It is so hard to believe because it is so hard to obey. Boredom is the root of all evil, the despairing refusal to be oneself. Don't you know that a midnight hour comes when everyone has to take off his mask? Do you think life always lets itself be trifled with? Do you think you can sneak off a little before midnight to escape this? One must not think slightingly of the paradoxical, for the paradox is the source of the thinker's passion, and the thinker without a paradox is like a lover without feeling, a paltry mediocrity. It is impossible to exist without passion. There is nothing with which every man is so afraid as getting to know how enormously much he is capable of doing and becoming. It is the duty of the human understanding to understand that there are things which it cannot understand. The self-assured believer is a greater sinner in the eyes of God than the troubled disbeliever. I feel as if I were a piece in a game of chess, when my opponent says of it, that piece cannot be moved. The thing is to understand myself, the thing is to find a truth which is true for me, to find the idea for which I can live and die. That is what I now recognize as the most important thing. Leap of faith, yes, but only after reflection. Happiness is the greatest hiding place for despair. On the secretly blushing cheek is reflected the glow of the heart. My sorrow is my castle. Take away paradox from the thinker and you have a professor. It is very important in life to know when your cue comes. I stick my finger into existence and it smells of nothing. A no does not hide anything, but a yes very easily becomes a deception. Once you are born in this world, you're old enough to die. Every mental act is composed of doubt and belief, but it is belief that is the positive, it is belief that sustains thought and holds the world together. Hope is a passion for the possible. My melancholy is the most faithful sweetheart I have had. Idleness, we are accustomed to say, is the root of all evil. To prevent this evil, work is recommended. Idleness as such is by no means a root of evil, on the contrary, it is truly a divine life, if one is not bored. Now, with God's help, I shall become myself. If you want to be loathsome to God, just run with the herd. The task must be made difficult, for only the difficult inspires the noble-hearted. My standpoint is armed neutrality. The only intelligent tactical response to life's horror is to laugh defiantly at it. What looks like politics, and imagines itself to be political, will one day unmask itself as a religious movement. The present state of the world and the whole of life is diseased. If I were a doctor and were asked for my advice, I should reply, create silence. It belongs to the imperfection of everything human that man can only attain his desire by passing through its opposite. My melancholy is the most faithful mistress I have known, what wonder, then, that I love her in return. With every increase in the degree of consciousness, and in proportion to that increase, the intensity of despair increases, the more consciousness the more intense the despair.